Hello, friend. It's Mark out on the back 40. It is late July here in the west side of Michigan. And in this episode, we're just going to kind of cover our food plots. I have learned a few things, especially about weeds, that I'd like to share with you. I've been talking about this a lot this year, maybe the last 2 years. And really, it's about the whole process of going from traditional food plot planting, traditional farming techniques where you till it up and you spray, the whole thing, the whole process. And got wind of going into no-till 6 years ago now. And so the discovery process for that has been, number one, is no-till the right thing to do? And the answer is yes. Number two, okay, now that it's the thing to do, how do I do it? What's the best way to do it? Maybe what's the most affordable way to do it? And what we have discovered there is that in light sandy soils, which this is here, you can get away with using a grain drill as a no-till drill. The first thing we tried was broadcasting, just kind of broadcasting everything on top and rollering it in and hoping for a good rain. That doesn't work. It's, at least in my soil, it was terrible. Less than 25% germination, weeds everywhere. I tried it for about 2 years and it just didn't work. So had to go to some kind of a mechanical drill-in type of situation in order for it to work. And because the soil is so light here, we have tested and we are able to do that with a light duty grain drill. So you could go get a used grain drill, you could get a new one for $3 or $4 grand, go get a used one that's kind of beat up and old, but it'll still work just for food plots for $1 grand or $2 or something like that, instead of having to spend $15,000, $20,000. Okay, so is no-till right? Number one, yes. Number two, how do we plant it? We got that. Number three that I have discovered in the last 2 years is weed control. And I have been trying to figure out a better way to do weed control than spending thousands of dollars on a roller crimper. And I guess the two things are there for me on a roller crimper. Number one is the cost. I just don't feel like spending, and I know that some places have them for a couple of grand now, but still a couple grand to roller crimp, I don't know. And then the thing with that is that I have done some recon and I'm learning that maybe roller crimpering, is that a word? Crimpering? Roller crimping doesn't kill everything. It doesn't even get all the weeds because the timing has to be like just perfect to terminate the cover crop, but it doesn't necessarily, you're not going back out there at the right time to kill the weeds that may be coming up. So guys are still spraying once in a while. And I think what I have determined as of right now, I don't have a roller crimper. I don't intend to get one. I am going to spray for weeds, okay? But what I did discover over the last because the first 3 or 4 years, I did not do any weed control. I was hoping that just laying down the rye and covering the soil and keeping something growing there all the time would fight the weeds, but it doesn't. I lost that battle. And because I didn't do anything for 3 or 4 years, I got way behind. And I have spent last year and this year trying to get back on top of the weed control problem. And they're kicking my butt. They really are. The two main ones that have got me are, last year it was mare's tail. That one, it took over the food plots. And then number two, this year, I noticed this one coming last year. There was a little bit of it. And now this year, it's everywhere. It's called Carolina horse nettle, and it is kicking my butt. It's I understand it to be, as I have researched it now that I have it here, and I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of it, because I hit it with glyphosate once and it really knocked it back good, but a bunch of it came back, and I thought, oh well, that must just be all the seeds that germinated after I sprayed. And what I learned is, no, that is a perennial weed. It has a deep root system, and it will just keep going and going, almost like in a circle. I'm going to go around here and show you. I don't know if you can see this really well here, but all these taller plants in here, you can see this circle right here where it comes all the way around. This whole area is dominated by them. And there's another one back over there. I don't know if you can see a little between us in the tractor right there, there's another spot, another circle of them there. So they kind of get into an area and they just keep dropping seeds and they keep expanding their root system and they just keep going and going. It is officially classified as a primary noxious weed, which, if I understand right, means that in some counties around the United States, if the farmers don't take care of this horse nettle, that the local county extension will come out and do it for you, and then they'll charge you for it and give you a fine. So it's a serious deal. It's a serious weed. So what happened this year, if you watched the last video, I planted a crop out here that I thought was going to get me through the year, and it had a lot of clover in it because I was going to start using clover as a living mulch instead of knocking rye down every spring as mulch. I thought that was going to be a little bit of a better situation. However, this horse nettle, after I planted that spring stuff and I drilled it in, I saw this horse nettle just is going gangbusters. And then that's also when I learned you better get control of this stuff. So I bit the bullet. I took my lumps. I'm still paying the price for not controlling weeds a few years ago. And I hit this everything with glyphosate again just about 2 weeks ago. So what I'm hoping is that would kill all of the horse nettle. And it was 3 quarts per acre of glyphosate, and it killed a lot of it, but man, this is 2 weeks worth here. And does it look like there's still a little bit of green in there, like it's gonna make it? And you know, what I read and looked at in videos, it does take a few applications of chemicals and maybe a year or two to systemically get rid of it all. So this is a long-term project for me. This is going to take a year or two to get rid of this stuff. Man, is that frustrating. So, man, if I could teach anybody anything about going no-till, once you know what you're going to plant, how you're going to plant, if no-till is right for you, all the basic stuff, man, weed control, don't ever let that go. You got to have a plan for weed control. If you're going to get a roller crimper, that's great. Do a roller crimper. If you're going to spray, spray. I didn't spray, and I should have been spraying and burning this stuff up every year to stay on top of it. I mean, it's not like I'm a fan of having to spray and using chemicals, but man, you just got to do it. Otherwise, it's going to get out of control. And that's what happened to me. So that's my biggest lesson, is that right there. So I sprayed this stuff 2 weeks ago. I planted, I'll say, the fall crop 2 weeks ago also, even though that would have been early July, I planted that. But so what I ended up planting back in here then is a mix that I saw on the NDA website from Craig Harper, Dr. Craig Harper. He put a few mixes out there that he likes to use. And so I used one of those and modified it just a little bit. So it's winter wheat, it's oats, it's crimson clover, arrowfoot clover, and then you know what I always like to do is try and get some structure in my food plots. So I threw in sorghum Sudan grass in that mix also to try to get some height in here. And I'm hoping that planting it in early July isn't going to be too late, that it won't get, you know, maybe 4 or 5 feet tall, so that I can cut shooting lanes and trails and get the deer to follow those trails through the food plots. So, you know, as I look around here, it's been 2 weeks since this stuff has been planted, and it's doing good. I mean, everything looks like it's germinating. We had okay moisture, about maybe a 1/4 inch of rain when I planted it. But I am a little spooked right now because it's been, oh gosh, probably a week and a half to 2 weeks with no rain. And man, I just hope that there's enough cover from all the rye straw that you can see on here, covering the soil up enough that there'll be enough moisture until our next rain to keep all this stuff alive and that it doesn't burn up. So that's the lesson. Weed control, weed control, weed control. Make sure you have a plan for weed control. That is my lesson this year, big time. So, all right, thanks for watching. If you have questions, comments, throw them down below. I'll get to them when I can. Appreciate you watching. Thanks.